have now on the line Dr. Claudio Cerullo, brings over 23 years of, I want to make sure that I pronounce this name properly, of professional experience in the field of education, and is extremely active in addressing the great need for anti-bullying awareness and prevention nationwide as a result of parents asking him to help students that are being impacted academically, socially, and emotionally by this silent threat. Dr. Cerullo founded Teach Anti-Bullying Incorporated in an effort to further help raise awareness about what bullying really is and how, along with school violence and racial profiling, can be prevented. I can't wait to have this conversation. Dr. Cerullo, are you there?
Good afternoon, and you can simply call me Dr. C. It's just fine with me. Dr.
C, I'll take it.
That's it. Good to be on the show. Good to meet you.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. Welcome to The Source. You know, you're perfect for this because education is one of my major platforms. And, you know, we've kind of danced around bullying and what it looks like. So I really want you to talk to the WURD audience now about why you have this organization and what does bullying look like in today's language.
Well, look, this is not. Bullying's been around for many, many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, as we can imagine, and now in this virtual mess that we're in, from a cyber realm, it's going to get worse.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just now entering this world of virtual education. But the concept of bullying became a tagline for us in 2006, right? When CNN finally said they were looking at case studies, and there was a young lady who took her life. Her name was Phoebe Prince, to cyberbullying, and all of a sudden it took off. And now everybody tags something as bullying, and we have to clearly define what it is and what it isn't in any public school or work setting. And let's be realistic. You know, I often talk about bullying as a tagline, but it is certainly synonymous with domestic violence, child abuse, child molestation, and elderly victimization. And anytime someone is a victim of ongoing assessments and an imbalance of power, they become a victim of some type of bullying classification. I think that right now, when you're looking at racial profiling, okay, and when someone stands idle as someone is being detained or unlawfully detained or suffocated, and you have others just standing by, then you have an aspect of bullying by bystanders rather than reacting. They're part of the pervasive public health issue, whether it's adults in a community or certainly kids or even teachers in an educational setting. This has been growing. We've seen no decline in this pervasive public health issue over the last 13 years. And so certainly teachanti-bullying.org has been very instrumental in looking at the issue and looking at programming and looking and working within school-based communities to help address it. It is a national crisis, and it is ongoing.
So what kind of success have you had in doing this work? Can you cite some examples?
Sure. So, you know, we, over the last, since inception in 2011, the organization itself has traveled to 33 states across the country, and we've addressed probably over 106,000 kids to date, with various aspects of issues that have occurred, and certainly many more locally within the Delaware Valley region. But here's the approach. The approach isn't just simply that someone comes into a school or work setting and they have an assembly or there's some professional development. You can't stop there. It's not a lecture. It's not just one program. It has to be ongoing. And that triangular approach involves the kids, the staff, the school, the community, and the parents. And that would be the same whether you're in an organization as well. Everyone in that leadership component or corporate or organizational structure has to have buy-in to the policy of inclusion, of equity, of diversity, of cultural competencies, all the things that right now we're exploring, racial profiling. We've been talking about this for how many years? I mean, you can go way, way, way before 1963 and certainly to present day, and we're still not getting it right in 2020. So again, it is ongoing education, and it is education, as you can imagine, from the White House to the outhouse. It's about leadership, and it's about understanding where people are coming from. It's bridging that cultural divide, right, between whatever ethnicity or race you come from, and perhaps our police department, our local, state, and federal officials, and you have that disparity. So when you have this disparity, you have conflict, and you have people who say, well, he's at fault, she's at fault, and then repetitively you have what's called a bullying situation. But without those components, it becomes isolated, and essentially somebody can come in and we can discuss it, we can do our program, but once we go away, what's the implementation process of it? What's the buy-in? And certainly in Pennsylvania, I've been working very hard right now with Representative Stephen Kinsey out of Germantown. We have a bill on the House floor, an anti-bullying bill, because in Pennsylvania we have no legislation, unlike New Jersey and Delaware. So part of it is giving it teeth and holding those perpetrators accountable for cyber crimes and certainly physical bullying within a school or corporate entity.
Yeah. I love it. You have clearly been at this for a long time. You're using every word, every structure that I would have used as a trainer myself. And so I can tell just from the conversation that I'm having with you that you're all in and that you're really looking at this. How do we get children to understand the dangers of bullying when we're surrounded by adults who are constantly bullying from the highest levels all the way down?
Well, and and that's a great question. And we see that, I was a youth football coach, and we see it from the sideline. We see how parents behave. We're entering the 2020 presidential election, and we're inundated by what children see. Who's bad? I honored a child about 18 months ago from a middle school in Delaware, and his name was Joshua Trump. You may have seen the story. Joshua Trump was victimized for 2 years in his middle school in Delaware for having the last name Trump. We honored the young man. The White House reached out to me. They invited Joshua to the Oval Office and to the State of the Union last January, and he sat next to the First Lady. And you had to ask yourself, he was bullied. Why? Based on his last name. So there's that ridicule because of the popularity, certainly, or the following of our current president or the Republican Party or what have you. And unfortunately, it's the parent, it's the teachers, it's anyone who is associated with kids to set that example, to be the role model of again, inclusion, that understanding where someone comes from, the cultural competencies, which we speak of these things, but are they truly applied? We talk about all lives being important, but do people really take the time to truly understand who their peers are, who the kids play with, and then what are parents in the background or grandparents saying about other races? And this is where, unfortunately, it's a culture or a climate that unless we as people, as a society, look at ourselves and practice empathy, not simple empathy, nothing will change. We'll just be the same after you and I are gone, and even worse because from a software and technology standpoint, things only get even better in terms of children and adults hurting each other, whether it's online or verbally.
Agreed. How can people reach you, Dr. C?
Very simply, 484-431-9711 is the organization's phone number, and certainly teachanti-bullying.org is the organization's website. And we, like I said, we welcome anyone to reach out to us who's having a problem or wants to discuss an issue or programming or assemblies or professional development, community-based rallies. I mean, we do it all, advocacy, but they're the two main sources of contact.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate your calling in. Dr. Claudio V. Cerullo, don't be a bystander. Empower others to be an upstander, keeping your school and community safe. a nationally recognized anti-bullying and anti-violence expert. He's a longtime educator and school administrator and the founder and CEO of Teach Anti-Bullying. Lord, you've been awarded many honors, proclamations, and citations for your anti-bullying education and research nationwide. I want to thank you so much for calling in to the source, and, well, let's see what happens from here, because we continue to hear about bullying happening all over the place, and there will be people who will definitely look out to you, okay?
Thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you, too.
It's a pleasure. Please stay safe.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.